Hi everybody, it's Terry with paperologist.blogspot.com, and today I'm coming to you with a card featuring some designs from the Cutting Cafe, and I'm going to be using some Ranger Distress inks, the new colors, and the alcohol ink applicator. And the nasturtiums that you saw there in the picture are my color palette inspiration. This is the top part of the flower pot die cut from the Cutting Cafe, and I'm going to be using white Prima flowers and then coloring those with Copic markers. So the first part of the video you're going to see me doing all the prep of the inking and coloring, and then there will be a part 2 of the video which is actually assembly of the card. The files come like that, and they're PDF files that you can print out, or if you have the electronic version of the cutting file you can cut those yourself, I think on a Pazzle machine, but don't quote me. Those I cut actually through Adobe Illustrator. These are the distress inks that I'm going to be using for the flower pot, and as I mentioned, most of them are some of the new colors, and I'm using Spiced Marmalade, Wild Honey, and pumice stone for the coloring of the flower pot. And there's two pieces to the flower pot. There's the base pot, and then there's the lip or the rim of the pot, and I'll be coloring that separately too. And what I did was I watched a number of videos on how to use these techniques, and they all suggested that you start off of your mat and then work your way onto the paper sort of in a circular fashion. And so that's what you see me doing there. Now I'm going to be speeding up here just to save some time, and I'm going on to my next color, and I put on a new clean sponge onto the alcohol ink applicator there, and I'm just blending those together. They're sort of translucent so they can see one another, and you get great depth of color there. And there goes the last color. So that's what the flower pot looks like, and now I'm going to go ahead and do the top rim of it using that same sort of orange or spiced marmalade color first. And as I mentioned, I'm kind of going in a circular motion. That blue mat that's underneath where I'm working is actually a silicone baking mat, and it protects my cutting surface there. And it's also cleans up pretty easily, and being silicone, it can also kind of withstand some heat if I choose to use my my heat gun. So there we go. I'm finishing up the coloring of that, and that's going to be affixed that way with some pop dots eventually. Now there is the green part, which I'm using as the leaf background, and for that one I used two inks there, one called Peeled Paint and one called Bundled Sage. These nasturtiums are from our garden, and I'm going to be using these Prima flowers. They're the E line, and I'm going to be using the Copics to color them. And I'm also going to kind of speed through this too. So right now what I'm doing is pulling out the Copics that I want to use, and I kind of want to mimic these sorts of flower techniques here, the way that nature grew them, made them. So these paper flowers from Prima absorb the ink really, really well of the Copic, and as you know, if you've used them at all, they do blend, and they really saturate into the paper that the Prima flowers are made from. So here I am. I'm using, I think that this one is, maybe I'll zoom out here and tell you for sure. The three yellow colors that I used were Y06, FY1, Y02, and Y17. The sort of orange color that I'm using there is actually, they call it Chinese orange, or YR09. And what happens here is that the colors really do saturate into the paper flowers really nicely, and then will eventually sort of bleed and kind of just meld into one another. So I think that that's a really nice technique. So I think I'm going to do one more, and you can see that that is the Y17 color. So I'm just adding the color here, and it definitely soaks through, definitely gets on your fingers, so you probably want to be prepared for that. So there's another one, and as I mentioned, they do blend, so I'm going back with the yellow color and kind of just making it a little bit more streaky there. This is actually sped up, believe it or not, so you can do this quickly. It's not very high-tech at all. And I think here's the last one, and I'm sort of mimicking the orange flower with the dark inside, and once again that's the YR09, and I'm actually using a black marker there that's a Bic permanent marker. The Copics, some of them, depending upon which ones you have, will have a brush tip and a chisel tip, or a pointed tip and a chisel tip, and you can swap those tips out as well. So they're all my flowers, and I'm just kind of pre-arranging, kind of getting an idea where I want to put them on the green piece, which is going to go on top of the flower pot. Now what I'm doing right here is I'm putting brads in the center of each one of the flowers, and I'm using the Copics to color the metal brads as well. So now I think I'm going to be sort of pre-assembling the flower pot there. And then this is another really great technique with the Copic. This is a Martha Stewart ribbon, and I think it's a synthetic of some sort, probably a polyester. But the Copics will actually color and saturate that ribbon. So you got a really nice coordinating color. Now it did bleed through the ribbon there and kind of beat up, but that's okay. That's what the silicone mat's for. Now I'm going to show you, and you can't really see it so well because you should always start out with your lighter color, but I'm working on blending some color there. So I'm going to start out with the yellow, and then I'm going to go back in and use sort of the more orange color to kind of create a blended custom ribbon. So I think that really does open up, you know, Copics are not inexpensive, no doubt about that. So you want to really try to there's my fingers, try to make them do as much as you possibly can. So here's the finished card again, and there will be a part 2 of this video featuring how I assembled the card. And once again, the cut files came from the Cutting Cafe, and I'm really happy to be part of the digital design team. So thanks for watching the first part of the video, and go ahead and click on the link on this and it should take you to the second part. Have a great day.